Hey, I'd like to welcome you to another episode of Money Matters Top Tips for Success, where each and every day I bring on new business owners, entrepreneurs, and executives and have them share their top tips to success with you. My name is Adam Torres. You can follow me on Instagram at AskAdamTorres to keep up with my book releases, book tour schedule, signings, all that other good stuff. Always love to connect with you there. And as always, if you'd like to apply to become a co-author of one of my upcoming books, just head on over to the website, moneymatterstoptips.com, and click on Become an Author to apply. All right, so today is a very special reunion 2020 episode. What is that? That's when I had on a guest in the past, and I liked him so much I had to bring him right on back. Today's guest is Kevin Kroos, who is president over at Hudson Bearings and Tool Tech. Kevin, welcome back to the show.
Thanks again. Great to be back.
Oh man, we made it. We're back, 2020, and I saw your proposed show topic and challenges of buying a business, and you know all about that. I'm excited to get into that with you. But before we do, let's just we had a very blessed year on the podcast, so we got a lot of new listeners tuning in. I don't want to assume they caught your first episode, so let's just start with a little background on what you're doing over at Hudson Bearings, please.
Yeah, no problem. Not always easy to give a quick overview, but I'll be succinct here. Currently, I am president of two different companies. One is by the name of Hudson Bearings, and the other is Tool Tech, both in the manufacturing sector, which is a different career path for me, even though now it's been 7 years at Hudson Bearings and about 5 since I've been an owner there. Purchased Tool Tech a couple years ago. Previously, I've owned a host of different businesses, mostly in the financial services sector, owning a mortgage lender.
That's awesome. And one of the interesting things that I recall about our conversation is that was that you, number one, career changes, but number two, you really found value in buying, purchasing businesses, and really, I won't say turning them around, but adding value and finding new markets. And yes, Kevin, I do remember these things. I remember you told me how your sales changed and how much business you started doing overseas and in other markets that the company hadn't done really at all or even tapped into. That being said, you are definitely an expert on buying businesses. You bought multiple, and you've been successful in doing it. So I loved your proposed show topic on the challenges of buying a business. So where do you want to begin on that topic? So where do you want to start with that one?
Yeah, I think what my experience has been is that I have started from scratch a variety of different businesses, and then sort of moved into purchasing existing businesses and taking sort of my entrepreneurial background and trying to apply a different way of thinking and looking at things to an existing business. I think part of the challenges, some of the things that I live through every day, very recently as of today, having a big all hands on deck of the executive team HR challenges, is that I think being an entrepreneur and having that mindset can definitely be a benefit. Give you a couple anecdotes there as to why, but I also think it can be a detriment in some ways, and that's what we wanted to sort of focus on is some of the challenges. And I think when you're an entrepreneur, at least in my experience, you have started from scratch, figured it out, how you got it done, you look back and you try to describe it, and it doesn't even sometimes sound realistic. It's like a made-for-TV movie or something. But then you take that kind of confidence and you take that kind of experience and you say, okay, well, here's an existing business that's done very well for multiple years, and here's all their financials and everything that you know about it, and the table is set. And then you say to yourself, well, all I need to do is take this entrepreneurial spirit and operational know-how from other industries and add water and watch it grow really rapidly. And I think you could tell that that's not always the case, and simply buying a business does not eliminate all of the challenges, and in fact sort of causes you to flex some additional entrepreneurial muscle in a different manner in order to solve existing problems. So it's not probably a revolutionary thought, but a little bit of a warning out there to fellow entrepreneurs that I know make up a lot of the listenership of this show, that it's great to be confident. I think being a little overconfident can sometimes be a mistake in battling a new industry. Number one, if you're buying into a new industry, there is a learning curve there, needless to say, and not everything can be synthesized into one way of doing business. And more so, and it's, a term that's thrown around all the time, but corporate culture. And when you are an entrepreneur, you might take for granted the culture that you've created from scratch and not really realize, because you're in the thick of it, not understand that there's a certain culture that probably suits you because you started and created it, and walking into an existing culture, thinking that you're going to be able to tweak it and make some of those substantive changes and evolve to your better way, in your mind at least, of doing things is a challenge. And I think people need to be aware of that. It's a different challenge on some levels. It can be as fun as starting something from scratch, but it could also be as challenging as starting something from scratch. And it's really a true sales process in terms of selling the existing employees, which is the reason you bought the business, on looking at things a little new and tweaking some things. And I, sometimes make some jokes that aren't that funny, but in some cases I'll say to the guys, why don't we get into the 1990s or early 2000s? Let's not get all the way to 2020, but how about the early 2000s?
Easy there, Kevin.
So that goes over well, as you could tell. But it's definitely a wake-up call on a lot of levels where you sort of think, okay, well, this department's taken care of, and this department's taken care of, and at the end of the day, there's a lot of work to be done on those things, and a lot of work to be done in terms of melding it into a format that you think works for the long term. And boy, it's a challenge, and it's a constant process.
So is it, and I've never, just to be upfront, I've never purchased a business. So a lot of the concepts you're saying, they make sense to me when you say it. I've only built myself. So that being said, is it kind of like this combination of, on some things you have to, I guess, rip the Band-Aid off, and on other things you're like, oh, we're just trying to get another 1 yard up the, to the touchdown maybe. Like, and so some of them are going to be gradual, some you just got to rip off. I'm just trying to get a feel for what your thoughts are, and kind of the mixture of decision making, because it's tricky, because you're coming in as like with something that's been there, who knows, 30-year business, whatever. I forget how long Hudson Bearings was, but 30-year business. So people that have literally raised their families and through those doors, and now you're a newcomer. I mean, that's tricky.
It is a great question, and it's definitely very tricky. And a lot of times it just comes down to that risk reward and how far you're willing to take something, when for the long term it's the better route and the healthier route to go to build a sustainable, consistent business. But you are sometimes, tentative to do that because there can be repercussions. And it's the balancing act. The way you described it is exactly what it is, because it could be both directions. It could be that you should rip the Band-Aid off and pay the price for the long term. And it could go the other way too, that you're too patient, on certain things, because you can rationalize and say to yourself, look, there's a reason we paid X number of dollars for this business. There's a reason that we went to the bank and financed it to the hilt. There's a reason we did all these things. Well, it's because they did well. These are not turnaround situations that we're talking about. These were successful businesses. So let's be careful about coming in and ripping off the Band-Aid in certain circumstances. But you could certainly go too far in either direction, being too patient and too nervous to make a change and talk yourself into not making a change. And you could also have too quick of a hair trigger and and make a quick change that you don't really realize the repercussions. Quick example, new equipment, new modern equipment. I would think through the lens that I view things, when you're in an industrial setting, that if I was an employee in that company, if I saw the new ownership come in, and these are real examples, and invest hundreds of thousands of dollars in new machines, the lens I view things through, if I'm that employee, I'm thinking, wow, that's fantastic. They're coming in, they bought the business, they're adding new technology and new machine. Wow, they're really investing in the new business that's going to make them more competitive. We're going to be able to, gain more market share, etc. Well, there's a flip side to that. Wait a second. If they buy that machine and that's more efficient, then the way I'm doing things now might be called into question. I'm really nervous about that new machine, and actually those new machines are not a good idea. So I think it just requires, all business requires being able to look at things from multiple angles for sure. But when you're an entrepreneur and you're growing and you're scaling and you're moving forward and it's your own vision and you've been in it from the beginning, you still got to look at all sides of the coin for sure, but there's things that you probably you don't need to analyze as much as when you come in as that new person, and you can't assume good news is actually good news. And in that example, we heard some people that were very happy about new equipment, and we heard some concerns. So not rocket science. We just simply had a meeting about showing them when companies automate, when companies increase their technology, the number of people they hire actually increases, not decreases, and just calming some nerves on that. But it just serves as a good example that when it's not your baby, that you started from scratch, you really cannot make rash assumptions. You really have to think things through a lot differently than if it's an entrepreneur type experience or a new company that you built yourself.
Man, that's awesome. That's great advice, and I'll just be upfront. I love the way you talk, Kevin. You're so correct, and you're so on target with your words. You said risk reward. I'm like, man, I was thinking in my head, I should say risk reward instead of me saying what I normally say, which is just pick my battles. I don't know what I want. Pick my battles. That one's gonna cost me. But no, the way you talk, I aspire to get there.
Off too. Yeah. We use ripping the Band-Aid off. We use a lot of terms that are, antiquated, I'm sure, but
no, I like it. I'm in. So Kevin, if somebody's listening to this and they want to learn more about what you're doing over at Hudson Bearings or at Tool Tech, what's the best way for them to get info on that?
Yeah, just for both entities, it's my first initial K and then my last name Kroos, Kroos, so Kroos at HudsonBearings.com or Kroos at ToolTech.com. I also am on LinkedIn. Happy to talk to somebody that's, a former entrepreneur or a current entrepreneur that's looking to buy or get into a new industry. No problem. I'm sure I'll learn something from the conversation as well.
That's awesome, Kevin. Well, hey, really appreciate you coming on the show today and coming back on this reunion 2020 episode. In 2021, I'm going to invite you back, and I'm saying, all right, Kevin, I got some new problems for you to solve for me. No, but seriously,
I hope that's the case.
Been awesome having you on the show.
Okay. Thank you very much.
And to the audience, as always, thank you for tuning in. Hope you got a lot of value out of this. If you did, don't forget to subscribe to the podcast, leave me a review on the Apple iTunes store, do all those great things we do to support our podcasters. And Kevin, thanks again for coming on.
Take care. Be well.